Welcome to Engaging Aging. I'm Erin DiCarlo.
And I'm Lauren Watts.
We believe life gets richer with age, and we're here to prove it.
We bring you real conversations about aging well, living fully, and navigating this journey with confidence.
So let's dive in, because aging isn't something to endure, it's something to embrace. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to part one of our four-part series, How to Sell Your Longtime Home with Ease. So a lot of times when clients are coming to us, they may be feeling overwhelmed, unsure, or nervous, like where to even begin this process. But we're here to tell you that we have broken down this overwhelming multi-step process into 4 simple steps. And the first step is planning. One of my all-time favorite quotes is, "A goal without a plan is just a wish." And so often, I think as humans, we want to avoid the uncomfortable, and we could just close our eyes and snap our fingers and get through the other side of this process. But unfortunately, that's not a reality. If your goal is to sell your home for top dollar, there are steps that you have to take to make that your reality, and planning is the first step. So believe it or not, we believe the most difficult part of this planning process, or process overall in general, is figuring out, where are you going? If I had $1 for every time someone has called us and said, "Okay, I need help cleaning out my house or listing and selling my home," and we ask them, "Okay, we can help you with all of that, but first, where are you going?" So many people tell us, "I don't know." And what we tell them is, well, we need to start with that. Figuring out where you're going helps us put a plan and a timeline and a budget to this whole process. So we're going to walk through the 4 steps of your plan. And the first is figuring out, where are you going? That may sound simple, but that is the hardest part for a few reasons. One, I can't do that for you. There's multiple factors that go into figuring out where you want to go. So let's walk through those and maybe help you gain some clarity. So first is location. Location, I always say, is the one variable, meaning other options may fit all of your other boxes, but it's in a town or a location that maybe you weren't thinking of. So first ask yourself, where, location-wise? Do you want to be in your current area where you live now? Or are you considering maybe moving closer to family? Or if you're like me, I want to go somewhere warmer. So maybe the climate is a variable for you to think through. The next are the amenities in the option that you're thinking about considering or you've already chosen. Do you want places that offer maybe exercise facility or care support, or maybe just to be in community with other older adults? What are the amenities? Even if it's a single family home or a condominium, do you want amenities, part of a 55 plus community where there's opportunity to be social and tap into not having to do snow removal or landscaping? So really thinking through the amenities of the options that you may be considering. And then obviously budget. What is your budget? And if you haven't taken a moment to get really clear on the numbers, that is a massive first step. Unfortunately, many of the different senior living providers that we work with, they don't do a deep dive with you on the finances until they've accepted you and they have an available apartment or unit. And so we're getting phone calls from people where the budget is the last part of this process, and you can be really emotionally upset and let down if maybe you can't afford that option and you didn't think that through up front. So think about your budget. Are you considering a rental versus a buy-in? Even in the continuing care retirement world, which are these senior living community options, there are a ton of different options. There are life care contracts, there are different types of real estate investments or purchase properties, and the rentals. So doing a deep dive on your numbers to help you gain clarity will help you really narrow down the pool of options you're considering right out of the gate. And we need to be a good steward of our energy throughout all steps in this process. So people can become exhausted and derailed when considering or looking or touring options that don't even fit their financial budget. So please get clear on your numbers. That brings us, after you figure out where you're going and you think about the location, that brings us to the second step in your planning process, which is your legal and financial plan. So, at a bare minimum, everyone should have a basic estate plan in place, and you should be working with estate planning attorneys who specialize in this. More to come on the fourth part of this series about the professional experts and your partnerships. But basic documents, you should all have a healthcare proxy, a durable power of attorney, and typically a simple trust to help protect your assets. And you really need to think through, is your home titled correctly? So what that means is, who actually owns your property? Is your home titled to a trust, to a family member, to a deceased family member? Before you can move forward with listing and selling your home successfully, we need to make sure that the title is correct. This helps avoid, when you have this planning piece done, massive future obstacles that could arise when we don't take the time to do this up front. So those are your basic legal plans, but then your financial plan. Most older adults, many older adults, are tapping into the equity in their home to afford that next step, whatever it may be that you choose. So your financial plan may include tapping into your home's equity for that plan. Now, a huge piece of our kind of secret sauce here at Dovetail is our move first and sell later process. We will get into much more of that in the next episode. But for many of our clients, tapping into their home's equity is how the process goes smoother by moving first and selling later. So we want to make sure that your hard-earned equity of your home is what you'll have access to tap into as part of your plan, your financial plan, to make all of this work with ease. There are multiple ways to do that. First, there's the traditional home equity line of credit, where you can work with your financial advisor, which, by the way, every single one of you should be working with a financial advisor who is well seasoned in understanding the unique needs of older adults. Because if you think about it, most financial advisors spend their careers and time with you helping you accumulate your wealth. And at this point in our life, we may be now tapping into and utilizing the wealth we have earned. And that takes a completely different skill set and strategy from your financial advisor. So please be sure. And if you're not, this is what we're here for. This is not a journey to go at alone. We're here to connect you with the experts if you need that. But just know these recommendations that I'm making to consider should be consulted with your seasoned financial advisor. So there's the home equity line of credit, where essentially you're tapping into your home's equity and utilizing a portion of it for different expenses along the way, potentially purchasing or renting your next step, putting a deposit. There's also something called a HECM for purchase. That's a home equity conversion mortgage. That is what you've also heard referred to as a reverse mortgage. We have an entire other episode you can find at Engaging Aging Podcast. It's called The Almighty Dollar. That episode will do a much deeper dive into reverse mortgages. And yes, there is a product called a HECM for purchase, where you can utilize a reverse mortgage to purchase a next property and not have payments and not utilize all of the proceeds from the sale of your current home into the purchase of a new home. So go there to learn more. There's also bridge loans. There's easy bank bridge loans, hard money lender bridge loans. There's a lot of different product out there around bridge loans, specifically designed for your unique needs as a mature seller. And then you can also potentially tap into your investment accounts. So we've had numerous successful client cases where they've utilized their IRAs and been able to move first, utilizing that money, and then having, with a very specific strategy and plan with us, having their property sold and the money put back into their investment accounts to avoid any tax implications or penalties and fees. So again, reminder, your financial advisor should be privy to all of these strategies, but it has to be at the planning stage. So we're not doing this on fire on the other end. Unfortunately, in the world that we lived in, I mentioned to you that many of these senior living communities are not having these financial planning strategy sessions with their prospects until the resident is about to move in. And then sometimes oftentimes we are the recipient of that crisis phone call. And we say, if we had just talked to you a few months ago, this could have gone such a different way. Hence why we're here with you today. And we've created this 4-part series. The third part of your plan is your timeline. And many people get stumped when we ask, what is their timeline? So first, we like to dream a little bit with you. If in an ideal scenario, what is your perfect timeline for all of this to happen? Now, there's variables here. If you don't know where you're going, we need to stop and halt and figure that out first before we can gain clarity and details on your specific timeline. So often, and our biggest motivator to be in this real estate space and industry as professionals is the real estate market is put at the center of the client's timeline. And other agents may be telling our clients before we've met with them, like, you have to sell now, you have to move now, the market is hot now. We do not subscribe to that approach. What we say is, let's take a breath. Let's get really clear on where we're going. Let's put our plan in place on how to get there. And then selling the home timeline will come together with much more ease. So what is your ideal timeline? Not what your children want you to do or what your real estate agent is telling you to do, but tap into your intuition. What would feel good for you? Once you get clear on that, then the other pieces of this can fall together. Make your timeline realistic. We help our clients really set themselves up for success by setting simple, manageable, actionable next steps. So your timeline has to be realistic. We joke, if you haven't listened to any of our right sizing episodes, don't try to boil the ocean. Don't try to do too much all at once. It'll just exhaust you and derail you. So let's make a realistic timeline to figure out where you're going. And just know that timeline will change, and that's okay. But we have found that, you hear us say this a lot, the longer the runway, the more successful the process and the outcome will be. Your home will sell faster and for more money when we take a minute to put a quality plan and timeline in place. Another consideration when we're thinking about this plan and figuring out where you're going is your current and future personal and health considerations. So, do we need to think about age and place accommodations? I will always say yes. Part of aging is that our physical and cognitive needs change. And so we need to embrace that instead of fearing it. So really thinking through, does a multi-story living environment make sense? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Do we need to think about like home modifications for accessibility? We love this concept. It's called universal design. There are ways this is not your grandmother's nursing home we're talking about here. There are ways to have beautifully designed spaces that are functional and built out to support your needs as you age, but don't feel like you're in a geriatric setting. And so think that through. When you're looking at these new options, will this environment and will my plan support me now and into the long term? So back to the finances for a second. This is where we have to think about future considerations. If the option you're considering now, while you're, maybe active and spry, may not, if it's just coming in at the top of your budget, well, we need to think through future care expenses. What will support look like? If I had to modify this home to make improvements for me to successfully age in place here until end of life, what is the budget for that? So we want to really think through your current and your potential future care needs to put that into your overall budget. Because what I can tell you, and usually we're, the client, the estate planner, the financial advisor, us, our team, we're having these meetings together to think through all of these aspects, because When you've thought through all of these different pieces thoroughly, you then have confidence and clarity in the plan that is created for you. So that leads me to, there may be multiple iterations of your plan. And not only is that okay, I think it's great because no one has a crystal ball. We don't know what the future will bring. We don't necessarily know how we will age exactly. And our plans should meet various scenarios. I give this caveat because couples, I always create multiple plans. Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. The plan for right now. If there's an option that you love that will fit your needs now and for the foreseeable future, go for it. Don't not do something because someday you might need care or support. Just know and think through at this planning stage, this may not meet my needs forever. So what would that next plan look like? So often our clients come to us feeling sad and overwhelmed and scared that the plan they made is no longer working for them, and they panic, like, what do I do now? You can get ahead and avoid all of that by having multiple iterations of your plan and then reassessing your plan, I say, every 1 to 2 years, or if there's a change in your situation. So if we have a client right now, husband and wife, they are moving into a traditional condominium. It's close to their adult daughter. It has great accessibility to shopping and dining and all the things they want to do. But they also looked at various continuing care retirement communities, knowing that one of them is aging differently. That's always the way. We never age the same as our spouse. Knowing that if things were to change, here's their plan B. That plan B has a 5 to 7 year wait list right now. So it's perfect because within the next 5 to 7 years, their needs most likely will change and they already have a plan in place for that. So work with a professional that helps you think through these different scenarios and also understands the cost of these different scenarios. So that's already built into your overall financial plan and strategy. So we just want to close. I want to say this, the better your plan, the smoother this entire experience will be. It's a gift. Sometimes because people meet us in crisis and overwhelm and they think they have to just execute everything all at once, it doesn't go well. It ends up creating far more work and makes the process longer in many scenarios than if we just halt, take a breath, and put the plan in place and things will go smoother. So please be sure, if this is of interest to you, in the show notes, you can download our free Planning with Ease guide. And we also have our complimentary e-webinar, How to Sell Your Longtime Home for Top Dollar with Ease. And reach out anytime. Please don't feel that you have to go at this alone. It's why we're here. Remember, we're here to embrace aging and not fear it. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode, which is step 2. It's all about preparation. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for joining us today. We love having these conversations and we hope they sparked something for you too.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and share it with your community because together we can change the way the world sees aging.
You can find us at dovetailcompanies.com or on any of our social media channels at Dovetail Companies.
And just a quick note, the opinions shared in this podcast are those of our guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Engaging Aging, Dovetail Companies, or our team.
So until we see you next time, keep engaging with aging.